Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ&A Video, the official Q&A video series of NoDQ.com, right here on NoDQ, and of course the YouTube channel, youtube.com/NoDQCW, getting close to 30,000 subscribers, trying to reach 30,000 by June 1st. So if you enjoyed today's video, please share it on Facebook or Twitter, tell a friend, anybody you know who watches wrestling. With that being said, as some people love to hear, let's get right down to your questions. First one today comes from Second Cation. Hey Aaron, two-parter. Would you have chosen a stipulation other than a cage match for Brock Lesnar versus Triple H 3? And the second part, would you have had it at Extreme Rules? I don't have any problem with a cage match, except for the fact that WWE has watered down the cage match stipulation so much over the years. You know, the cage match, the whole point of a cage match is for two guys to settle a feud without outside interference. Usually you'd have a match, there'd be interference or some sort of controversy, so you'd have it in a cage, and people would know when you see a cage match that you're going to have a clear-cut winner, and there's not going to be any kind of shenanigans or outside interference, whatever. But, you know, in recent years, or, you know, even longer than that, just over a long period of time, cage matches have had screw job finishes, people getting involved. So the stipulation is watered down. But besides that, you know, I'd love to see a good old school style cage match where the two guys just beat the hell out of each other. And unfortunately, we're unlikely to see blood unless it's legit blood. You know, they get opened the hard way. But I'd love to see a good old fashioned bloody cage match with two guys just punching each other, throwing each other in the cage a lot, and just something very vicious and violent. But my guess is it'll still be I'm sure it'll be a very physical match. But yeah, I mean, I don't feel that the stipulation means a whole lot in this day and age, which is unfortunate. But, you know, I give Paul Heyman credit because I thought he did a really good job announcing the match and making it sound like a bigger deal than I think it actually is to some people. And as far as having it at Extreme Rules, you know, in this case, it's fine because they've already had two matches. So now you have the third match, the rubber match, and why not have that be a stipulation? I mean, that's the way to do it. You have a series of matches, and the final match to settle the feud has a stipulation. So I'm perfectly fine with it being in Extreme Rules. It makes sense, and you know, really don't have any issues with it being a cage match. At least it's a good way to end the feud. All right, this one comes from Godfrey M. Petey. Hey Aaron, which heel run of The Rock did you like better, the Corporate Champ or Hollywood Rock? Well, that's saying, do I like pizza or do I like hamburgers better? I mean, it's really tough to say. I have to say my all-time favorite incarnation of The Rock was Hollywood Rock, just because I think The Rock was able to go out there and he had a lot of freedom. You know, he didn't have to kiss up to everybody as a babyface. He could say whatever was on his mind. You know, a lot of people were starting to boo The Rock at that time, and The Rock was able to, you know, let that aggression out and let that frustration out and just say what's on his mind and just screw the people. And, you know, I still think that first Rock concert in Sacramento was one of the greatest heel promos of all time by The Rock. I mean, he was just incredible, very funny, very entertaining. I loved it. So, yeah, I think my all-time favorite version of The Rock was Hollywood Rock in that, you know, that early 2003 period. All right, this one comes from Theodore Long. Who do you think Brock Lesnar will feud with after Triple H? And do you think that they will have this feud between these two continue if The Rock never got hurt? Because I heard The Rock and Brock were supposed to start something. Maybe WWE had to change plans. Well, I think that this match still would have happened regardless of The Rock being hurt or not. You have to keep in mind that they were going to set up WrestleMania for next year. So Brock, you know, the night after WrestleMania, Brock would have laid out The Rock, and then The Rock would have been gone. And then from that point, you'd have Brock versus Triple H again. So I know that Brock Lesnar and Triple H having the third match was something that they had planned out for several months. You know, that they would go 3 matches. You know what? That's fine. You know, I'm sure people want to see a rubber match and see a decisive winner in this feud. You know, it's kind of a letdown when you have one match, one guy wins, and in the second match the other guy wins, and then that's the end of it. Although that's what's going on with Rock and Cena apparently. But you know, if WWE I like what they're doing here with Brock and Triple H. Like I said, third match, cage match to settle the feud. I'm fine with that. As far as who Brock Lesnar will feud with after Triple H, there's a few possibilities. I mean, one possibility is Randy Orton. That's a feud we haven't seen yet, and that would be a way to get Randy Orton relevant again and get him doing something big. I'd like to see that feud. They could always go back to Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, do that match one more time. And you know, if Rock's unable to do WrestleMania 30, you could do the big Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker match at WrestleMania next year. So I mean, there's several possibilities, and you know, some people mentioned Brock Lesnar and Sheamus. I'm not sure if Sheamus is a big enough star in WWE. I mean, he has been pushed really hard, but I don't know if he's at that top tier where WWE will feel that it's worth the money to have Brock Lesnar face Sheamus, because they're paying Brock Lesnar a huge amount of money. So they're only going to put Lesnar in there with the absolute top tier guys. So Orton, maybe Cena again. Oh, I forgot about CM Punk. I mean, I definitely see Brock Lesnar and CM Punk at some point, especially when you have Paul Heyman in between the two of them. I mean, that just seems like an easy feud to do right there. So I think we'll see that feud later this year for sure. All right, this one comes from the Yes No Man. Since Jake Roberts has cleaned up his life, could you see him in WWE one last time? I think he should be in the Royal Rumble and then face heel Randy Orton at WrestleMania 30. If Jake Roberts, you know, first of all, I'm really happy that he's doing well. I think that's great, and I hope he's able to continue going in a positive direction. If Jake Roberts is clean and healthy come January, I think he should definitely be in the Royal Rumble and you know, put him in the Hall of Fame. As far as him having a match at WrestleMania, even if he's healthy, I don't see them putting him in a one-on-one high-profile match at WrestleMania. At the most, I could see them doing like a six-man tag or a Legends match with Jake Roberts involved. I could see them doing something like that, but I don't think that they're going to put him in a match one-on-one with Randy Orton. I just don't see that happening. But it would be really cool to see him. You know, I think what would likely happen if Jake Roberts ends up coming back, doing the Royal Rumble, and gets into the Hall of Fame, I could see him coming out at WrestleMania and maybe just giving somebody the DDT. I think that would be something the WWE would do, but not put him in an actual one-on-one high-profile match. I just don't see them doing that. All right, this one comes from Randall Red. Hey Aaron, Jim Cornette once said that, quote, when it's hot, you can't do anything wrong. When it's cold, you can't ever heat it up, end quote. I don't completely agree, but I don't necessarily disagree either when you look at TNA and see their problems. Your thoughts? Well, I think there is something to that. I mean, you look at the Attitude Era, there were a lot of things that bombed during that period. I mean, you had Beaver cleavage, you had all the Mark Henry stuff, the sexual chocolate. I mean, some of it was funny, but some of it was just, you know, you couldn't believe what you were watching. And, you know, the Kennel from Hell. The thing is, during that period, WWE was red hot, and they could really do no wrong. I mean, they could throw the most awful crap on television, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter because people, you know, Stone Cold was a huge star, DX was a huge star, they were huge stars. Vince McMahon, you know, the whole product was hot, so it didn't really matter what you had on the rest of the show. I mean, they could get away with pretty much anything. But now, I mean, you could have a lot of good shows in a row, and it wouldn't really matter. Well, you know, WWE is only going to have so much of an audience, and same thing for TNA. I mean, they could put on good shows, and it's going to take them a very long time to see any kind of real growth. And you look back before the Attitude Era, I mean, WWE started putting on great shows, you know, in 1997, but it took them almost a year to catch up to WCW. So, I mean, it took them a really long time to get hot. So you look at WWE and TNA today, maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe there'll be one big storyline or one character that catches fire, and then the product could get hot. But the likelihood is TNA could put on a lot of great shows, and you know, they'll keep doing a 1.1 rating. I mean, that's just the reality right now. Wrestling is not that hot, but I do think if TNA did put on a series of good shows, and you know, it's all about word of mouth. You have to gradually build your audience. So if TNA can do that, I mean, maybe at some point they could rise above the 1.1 rating and start selling out arenas every week. I mean, it is a possibility, but they really have to they have to be able to be strong consistently. So I mean, if they can't do that, they're most likely going to be stuck because wrestling's only going to get so hot at this point. All right, this one comes from Jamie Lee Mack. Greetings from New Brunswick, Canada. What is your favorite moment that the live crowd popped for? Mine would be when Mankind won the WWE title for the first time. I might have to agree with you with that one. I really like that moment. Goldberg beating Hogan in the Georgia Dome. I mean, that was one of the biggest crowd pops that I could ever remember. I mean, every single person in that arena went crazy when Goldberg won the title. A lot of the Hulk Hogan moments, when Hulk Hogan came out the night after WrestleMania 18 and ripped off the NWO shirt. I mean, that was a really special moment right there. And you know, WrestleMania 20. I think the loudest pop I ever heard in the live arena would be WrestleMania 21 when Muhammad Hassan and Devar were beating down Eugene, and then Hulk Hogan's music hit. I mean, the place just came unglued. It was unbelievable. I mean, every adult in that crowd was reacting like an 8-year-old kid. It was unbelievable. And Hogan came out, and you know, this was a WrestleMania crowd. You know, all the fans from all over the world coming in for WrestleMania in a small 20,000 seat arena. I mean, it was just one of the biggest pops ever. At least for me personally in the arena. I mean, I was just blown away by how much people were into Hulk Hogan. It was just crazy. So I mean, those would be my top moments. All right, oh, wait a minute. I think I have one more here. Yeah, I actually do have one more here. This one comes from Latin Mafia. With Triple H being able to convince Bruno Sammartino to be in the Hall of Fame, do you think it's possible that the cat can get down from my desk? And also, do you think it's possible he can convince Sting to do at least one more WrestleMania before he retires? Or has that ship sailed? If it has, is it possible for him to be in the Hall of Fame? I've said this before. I think that once Sting is done with TNA, I think it's possible he'll go into the WWE Hall of Fame. I'm sure WWE and Triple H would love to have Sting in the Hall of Fame because Sting, I think most people would agree, is the biggest star that has never competed in WWE. Sting had a tremendous career, and you know, I think Triple H wants the Hall of Fame to be taken seriously, and it's hard to have a Hall of Fame without Sting, a Wrestling Hall of Fame without Sting. So I think that when the time comes that Sting finally calls it quits with TNA, I think that he'll be getting the call from WWE to come in and do the Hall of Fame, and I hope Sting does it. I think he should do it. And you know, as far as him having the one match in WWE, I honestly think that the longer time that passes, the less likely it is. You know, I think maybe with enough video packages and stuff to hype up Sting, maybe you could get him over with enough of the audience. Because you have to keep in mind, a lot of the current WWE audience isn't going to know who Sting is. I mean, let's face it. You have a lot of casual fans who don't even know about WCW. I mean, it's kind of scary to think about. But, I mean, that's the truth. I mean, you have a lot of new fans, and it's hard to say how over Sting would be when he'd come back. If people would recognize him, you just don't know. But I think, you know, WWE has a lot of the video footage, and they could build up Sting. And the one thing WWE does really well is the video packages. And I think that they could make it work. So hopefully we will get to see Sting in the Hall of Fame and maybe in the ring in WWE. We'll just have to wait and see. Never say never, I guess. Alright, that'll do it for this edition of NoDQ&A video. Thanks as always for watching. Keep subscribing, keep spreading the word, and I will see you guys next time.